Hello and welcome back to Bringing Hope and Freedom.
That's like a pretty good radio voice.
I was like, what is the name? No.
Hello.
For a second. Hello.
Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
You guys doing good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bathroom's almost done. So
Still under construction.
yeah,
But it's getting,
it's getting there.
Churches, nowhere near done.
Same. Yeah. Same, but nowhere near done.
But getting there.
Yeah.
Got some carpet in some places, got some drywall in some places, but a lot to do. And I'm excited too to share some things with our church about, we've just got finished meeting with the architect and the engineer about how we can expand the building and some stuff to put in. And we're thinking about putting like a legit studio in for the worship team, things like podcasts, stuff like that. So
Oh wow, that'd be
yeah,
cool.
I'll put that in in the expansion. So I'm pretty excited to share that with everybody.
Room in the budget for that. But.
No. Not at all. No. But there's space.
Yeah.
The money's not necessarily there yet, but there's space for it. So I think you got to set the space aside first.
Yeah.
It's like when you're starting a business, you're starting something. You set the organization structure up, and then you put your name in there, like you're the janitor. Like, nobody works for you yet. So you do that first. You kind of set the vision first, and then you go about trying to figure everything out. So
If only the viewers could see what we see from this angle. You know, we're
Of
in
the
this little
studio.
room. Yeah, it's like Instagram versus reality. If we could turn the camera around, it's
It
kinda
has
like
cleaned
large,
up a lot. They've
It has,
cleaned
yeah.
the room
It's kind
up
of like
a
a
lot.
large storage.
yeah. Well, everything has to shift.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like you fix one room and then you go to the next room
Yeah.
and you renovate that room and everything's kind of shifting. But we're gonna have to be we're just doing a lot of shifting in our ministry over the next year because we're gonna try to expand things and build an entrance and build meeting spaces and try to put the ministry, catch the building up to where the ministry actually is.
Yeah, because it's definitely moving.
And so, yeah, that's gonna take us about a year to do. But Pinellas County is an expensive place for commercial property. So I think it's more cost efficient for us to do that than it is for us to try to go get a larger facility. Because we're talking about if an expansion costs $1 million, a new facility is going to cost $20 million.
Yeah.
So the kind of economies of scale, I think, really work in our favor to expand where we currently are and grow into that space as opposed to trying to find a larger space right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, we do need a lot of space. Just on Wednesday nights, we're
Yeah.
like got 3-4 guy groups in all different spots of the building, and women everywhere, and kids everywhere.
Women everywhere.
Women are everywhere.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And I think where people are at today, just like on this podcast, and I think people connect in different ways today. And so I think ultimately healthy connection is going to happen on an individual level in their individual lives, learn how to create friendships and form deep relationships. We have a world where everybody's everyone's friend, right? Like, oh, I'm friends on Instagram, friends on Facebook, whatever. This is concept that everyone's friends with everybody. And that's not really true. You're not.
All right.
You're not. And you're maybe connected via an app or something, but you're not friends. You don't really know each other. You don't spend any time together. You get snapshots of people's lives, but that's not real relationship. So I think we need to create spaces where people can form relationships so that relationship then presses down into their individual lives. And people can form strong friendships. But I think there's a pattern to how we form those friendships. And so for us as a church body, I don't think the church building should be the center of church life. But there does need to be a meeting place for people because even though our culture is connected, it's fragmented. And so I think that's why people are more apt to come together in large spaces, is it's easier for them to do that because they don't actually know how to build close relationships and friendships. So I think we can help people build friendships for the purposes of them saying, now go have this in your personal life. Don't keep them here, right?
Yeah.
So, but we've got to position ourselves to do that. That's where people are.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds like good stuff.
So what are we talking about today?
Well, we want to continue to build off of kind of your last 2 services, especially last week, where you discussed unity
Yeah.
and, people coming together and forming groups forming together
Yeah.
and going out and, doing God's work throughout the community and things like that.
Okay.
And I was going to start off by reading Ephesians,
Okay.
the part that the
Ephesians 4, 1 through 6.
Yeah,
Okay.
that you base everything off of.
Yeah. We're going into verse 7 this week, so exciting.
Yeah.
She doesn't have that up, so we're going to have
That's
to wait.
okay. I got it somewhere in here. I can find it.
Okay. As a prisoner for the Lord, then I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all.
It's good. It's a good verse. Good section of scripture. Good writer. I like the author.
Yeah. Yeah, this it is a really good verse, you're right.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's a lot in it. And that's how the Bible works.
Yeah.
At least for me, when I'm reading the Bible, I'm like, each word and each sentence, and this, especially someone like Paul. Like Paul's an intentional writer. He's systematic in what he's talking about. That his whole training is that way. He's a really educated person. And whereas like if you read Peter, Peter's a passionate person. So a lot of Peter's writing is kind of from that passionate perspective. He's a fisherman that Christ discipled, but he's always been that person that's about to chop your head off. He's always been that if you cross me, I might chop your ear off. That's always been Peter. Passionate, gets out of the boat, chops the ear off. Lord, I'll never do it. And Jesus is like, yes, you will. You'll do it 3 times. That's Peter. Whereas Paul's more systematic, more structured, right? And so whenever Paul's writing to us, I think it's important to understand who's writing to us. It's a structured mind. The Holy Spirit is inspiring him, but the Holy Spirit has also given Paul the gifts that he has. And so we're getting purposeful information. We're not just getting passion. We're not just getting encouragement. We're getting systematic communication. And I think you got to read it that way so you get everything that he's talking about. Because in a matter of just a couple sentences, he's given you so much. He's given you a lot of keys, given me a lot of keys to life and to relationships.
Yeah. And we were hoping for the viewers that don't go to church here.
Sure.
And maybe haven't seen the service.
Probably a lot
of
them.
Yeah, probably a lot of them. If you could kind of unpack that and what that is about.
Okay, like that whole section?
Yeah, or maybe touch on the walk humbly, walk gently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Patiently,
well,
ready to help.
yes, really important. And I think, okay, again, just like I said, when Paul's writing to us, I think you got to learn to pause. I think you should, whenever you're reading scripture, you should pause. Read the scripture and then pause. Don't just keep going. And specifically when writers are giving you a series of things, there's other places where the writer will say, and to your godliness add righteousness, and to your righteousness add faith. So they're giving you these steps almost that you can take, and they're helping you understand how these things build and how these things work. Paul begins to say, hey, endeavor to keep the unity. Okay, so that's important to understand. He's saying work to keep something that you already have, and you have been given this unity from something. Something has provided this unity, and then he gives us a few things that we can do. But he's saying that you already have unity. You have unity as a work, really, of Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit and the work of Jesus Christ in our life says that he's purchased unity. Well, with who? Well, first of all, with God. When Jesus sacrifices his life for us and pays the ultimate punishment, he pays the price for the wrath of God towards sin. So, and other places in Scripture say that the enmity between us and God was destroyed. The wrath of God is satisfied at the cross. Such an important principle. And what does that do? That brings us into relationship, or can bring people into relationship with God and unify them with God. And Jesus prays these prayers multiple times and communicates to people, hey, my desire for you and those that are listening and watching, I think it's important that they know. I think people should know what Jesus' desire was for them.
Yeah.
And he says it really clearly. My desire is that you would be one with the Father in the same way that I am one with the Father. And so we understand unity as oneness. There's no separation between the two, where two parts become one. Genesis 2:24. The man shall leave his wife, and they shall come together, and the two shall form one flesh. And I just think we read it and gloss over it, and we shouldn't, because it means something. These two separate people who have two separate identities and two separate desires and two separate ways of doing things are going to come together and form one thing, one unit, right? Where there should be no separation. So, for instance, when someone sees a follower of Jesus Christ, the connotation is they should see Jesus Christ. So for those that call themselves followers of Jesus Christ, I think a good question is like, what do you think people are seeing today? What do you think people are hearing today? What are they experiencing today? When people encounter Matt, they're actually encountering Holly. You guys are one. When people encounter Holly, they're actually encountering Matt. Now, yes, you look different than him. This is probably one of the reasons why he married you.
Definitely. Definitely.
Okay, and you might talk differently than him, but the essence and the soul and the identity that they're experiencing in many cases is the same. I tell Sabrina this all the time, like, honey, when you're walking around the church building and you're with people, someone's right outside the door doing work right now. When you're walking around and you're talking to people, you are representing me and I'm representing you. And all the time, my wife's name is Sabrina. Sabrina will say something to people, and they'll just like do it as if she's making a decision. And she's like, I didn't know. I'm like, baby, I know, but they don't know.
Yeah, they don't
because
know.
when they see you, they see me, and we're one, and so we represent each other in that way. And so Paul's saying that there's a unity that has been purchased by Jesus Christ, and he's saying endeavor to keep that unity that you've been given. Recognize that this unity is a gift, really. And it's something that's been paid for. You have a unity with God now that Jesus has provided. And it's clear that Jesus wants us to have and has an expectation that we would have that unity amongst us as saints, as believers, that we are all one body. We are all one family. The church in China is no different than the church in the United States. Mm-hmm. Yes, it has people that look differently than us, but there's no difference. We're all children, sons and daughters of the Most High God. We're all brought in. One person paid the price for all of us. There's one Spirit that sanctifies us and heals us and cleanses us and strengthens us. There's one God overall, in all, through all, right? So we are supposed to be one. We're supposed to be one. And then in that unity that you've been given, he gives you some things that you can do to keep that unity, to keep it, instead of breaking it. And he lists it. So what's that first one that he lists?
Walk humbly.
Walk humbly. Yeah. Well,
that's tough for us. That's tough for people.
I think it's tough for everybody.
Humans in general, yeah.
Humans in general. We're going to unpack that even more this Sunday. But, like in your guys' own relationship, I mean, when's the last time that Matt operated in pride and you knew it and it was breaking your guys' relationship, was putting pressure on your relationship as a result of it? Or maybe you, last time you guys had conflict where someone was raising themselves up against another. Because humility can be understood as a willingness to lower oneself. Mm-hmm. And pride can be understood as a raising up of oneself over another. And maybe if it's not in your marriage, maybe it's in your personal life. When's the last time you experienced that dynamic? Someone was purposely raising themselves up over you.
Probably like at work, I would say, is when you see it the most, or at least, where I see it a lot.
Sure.
Because everyone's trying to get ahead of somebody else.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The boss is paying me attention now, so, what can I do to bash Holly or bash Pastor to make myself look better? Mm-hmm. I see that a lot there.
All right. Holly, what about you?
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Okay. Well, can you think back to any places in your life where you encountered a really, really prideful person?
Probably, but honestly, I forget a lot of stuff like that. I mean, I really just.
That's weird.
That was a joke.
I mean, I know, it's true. He'll say something that happened like years ago, and I'll be like, I'm sorry, I don't think I was there. He's like, you were there beside me. I was like, I don't remember.
Yeah. No, I get it. All right, so, but I think those that are listening, maybe you're not like
Probably,
Holly.
yeah, they're not like me.
Okay,
yeah.
But we've experienced times in our life, again, I think understanding humility is important. It's a purposeful reduction or reducing of oneself. You do it on purpose. It's an intentional act. It's like when I tell people all the time, when people start praying for humility, I get out of their way. I'm like, I'm moving away I actively move away when they're like, Lord, humble me. I'm like, okay.
Why do you do that?
Why are you praying that? Nowhere in the Bible are you instructed, like that I can find, and maybe someone can find it and they'll comment, you're wrong, Pastor Kirk. Okay, but I don't find a lot of places in the Bible where God says, pray for humility.
Oh, I see.
I find a lot of places where he says, choose to be humble before God. Because what would humbling, you are such a prideful person if you're like, God, please humble me. Like, humble yourself.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's a purposeful decision to humble yourself, to lower oneself for various reasons, but in the relationship to God, because he's God and you're not. Mm-hmm. So why would you need to pray for God to humble you? Your pride, and you're so arrogant and you're so stubborn that you're going to recognize that the God of creation is real, and then you're going to ask him to humble you? Well, that means like probably lighting you on fire. I don't know. Like, what are you asking?
Yeah.
Or rather than that, why don't you just humble yourself before God? Because God gives grace to the humble, but he resists the proud. And he says that. This is part of his nature. And it's part of his nature because I think it reminds us about who we are and who he is. He is unchanging, forever, always the same, and he is the source of all life. That's not you.
Right.
That's him. So rather humble yourself. Rather choose to intentionally reduce oneself. This is anti our culture. This is anti our world, because our world says something different, right?
Yeah.
So like, what are the messages that our world sends to people about themselves that they should do? Like, what are some of the messages?
That you've got to be the best. You've got to, outwork everybody. That you have to be at the top all the time, make the most money.
Do whatever makes you happy.
And who cares about who you hurt and what you have to do to get there?
Right.
Because there's not really right and wrong. Right and wrong is relative. We live in a morally relative space where the ends always justifies, just like you're justified. If you get what you want, then you're justified. If you get that promotion, then you're justified. If you have those things, you're able to do what you want to do, then you're justified to do whatever you want, because there is no right or wrong. And our world is very defined that way. And so it naturally aids people to give into their pride. No, you are right and they are wrong. They're just idiots and you're always right? And so it reinforces that. And so I think humility is one of the building blocks to healthy relationships. You're not always right. Like, you're not. Like, we are not always right. And you're a deceived person if you think that you are. You are. You're a prideful person if you think that you're always right. And I think step one in dealing with and getting into a place where you can have a healthy relationship with God is admitting that you're not God and he is, and that you need an objective source of truth in your life. I also think that that's the big building block to any healthy relationship is you can't possibly always be right, and you can't possibly always see everything perfectly every single time. That's not true. Deal with that. And humble yourself. Sabrina and I got in an argument this last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. And she was talking to me about something and kind of sharing what she thought. And, my wife will use words that are not actual words. And it's just a thing that she does. And it means something to her. And I kind of know what she means, but I also know that this is not a word. Now, when Alexa came along in our house, it solved a lot of marital disputes, because I would be like, that's not a word.
I bet you're the only couple to ever say that.
Yeah.
Alexa solved my marital.
Yeah. And so she was like, it is a word. And finally, one day I was like, ask Alexa. Just ask her what that word means. And so she said, blah, whatever. And Alexa quoted like exactly the definition that I gave. And I just did one of those things. And she's like, I've been doing this our whole marriage. I'm like, yes, our whole marriage. You've just been choosing non-words.
That's funny.
And so, but I've been with her for 18 years now. So even when she's choosing her non-words, I actually know what she's saying. But I'm, just like any other person, prideful, and I have issues. And so when she's choosing her non-words, it's like everything that is in me, I'm like, I want to say, not a word.
Just like that.
It's not a word. Familiarity brings contempt. And so rather than being humble, I decided to say, not a word. Instead of just listening to her. And if I would have just listened to her, I would have understood exactly what she was saying. But my pride rose up, and we got in an argument because she's like, why can't you just shut your mouth and listen to me say my non-words and get what I'm saying? And the truth is that I need to humble myself, because I know my wife and I love my wife, and there are going to be times where she's going to use certain words or say certain things that are different than me. Why wouldn't I just lower myself? Because of my pride. right? And how many people do we hurt? And how many circumstances do we go through in our life where we're just not willing to do that? It breaks the unity of the relationship that we have. Why don't you just provide her the space to say the words that she's saying? When Kirk, like speaking for myself, when like Kirk, you do this for people all the time because people use like nonsense analogies and nonsense words all the time.
Slang.
Yeah. And like you figure out what they're saying when you care.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, of all the people that I should care about in the world,
Your wife.
my wife should be at the top of the list, but I'm a dum-dum, and my pride rose up, and I said that, and we got in a fight because of it. And I was wrong because I was unwilling to humble myself, reduce myself, and my own pride rose up over my wife, which is wrong. It's totally wrong to do that.
Yeah.
Hall's big word is yins. She hates when I use it.
Yeah.
And like she will correct me.
Yep.
Like when I text you and I'll put
Yeah.
it in there. Do you really have to say that? Like you couldn't put you or something.
And you say that because it's a reflection of her as well.
Yeah. And I don't use that word.
But she should humble her. Now I'm just speaking for you.
I know. You're
But
right.
but if he's not hurting, and there's some guidelines. Like if he's not hurting someone, he's not attacking someone, he's not being sinful or immoral or any of those things, and he's just communicating. Like, why can't you just let him do that? Because it's a
Why
reflection
can't
of
I?
because it's a reflection of you.
It's my pride, I guess.
And you would never say it
No.
because you would sound stupid by saying it.
Yes.
Yes.
I say it as a joke usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but you would never use it.
No,
And every time he uses it, it's actually a reflection of you.
Every time he uses it, it cuts through me like a knife.
Yeah, exactly.
I forget. I was sending an email to somebody once at work, and I came to her before it was all like you had Copilot and all that to help you
Yeah.
write the email. I came to her and I was like, "Can you read this?" And I use the word yins every day, all day. Don't think twice. It just comes out. Wrote it in the paragraph, and she went nuts. You sound so stupid.
Yeah.
I did not.
She's like,
say
take
that.
this out of there.
I said it doesn't sound professional, and it didn't. Plus, I mean, not to call you out, but there were a lot of other grammatical errors.
Okay, but let's use this because I think this is a perfect example of this, of what Paul's saying and why this matters. I think it's practical. Really what you should have said is, it makes us sound stupid. Because that's what's going on inside.
Yeah, that is probably what's going on. Yeah.
That's what's going on inside. You think you're trying to be altruistic, but you're not. It's not about Matt. It's about you.
It's about me, I guess.
It is. And when
it.
Sabrina is saying her non-words, like I say they're non-words. Now, there was one time where she used a word that I didn't know, and that was a big piece of humble pie. because
it was a real word.
it was a real word. It was perseverating. And she was like, don't perseverate on that. And I was like, excuse me, what? What are you saying? And Sabrina is very intelligent. My wife's she has a master's degree in education. There's this whole vein of life that she understands that I don't. Like I am just like, every time she talks about it, I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's really gifted in it. And so she used one of those words. She pulled it out and used it in a conversation. And I was like, that's not a word. She's like, it is a word, Kirk. And I'm like, no, it's not. This is one of your non-words.
Yeah.
And then she used Alexa on me. And I was like,
Backfired.
oh my
Backfired.
goodness, like this is a real word. What are we doing? And my whole world was crumbling down.
Do you feel like your whole world is crumbling down when I correct you and that stuff?
No, we grew up on different sides of the tunnel.
Of the tunnel, of the track.
That is-
I think he means of the track.
No,
Actually,
I mean the tunnel.
That is a Pittsburgh probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
word,
I don't
because
think our
there's-
listeners are Pittsburghians.
Well, they're learning. They're learning Pittsburgh.
When you go through the tunnel from one side of Pittsburgh to the other to get to the middle,
it's
there's a
different.
tunnel. And she grew up on one side, I grew up on the other. And I
This is
mean,
true.
we use.
And her side of the tunnel doesn't talk that way. No,
No.
because they don't want to be the people from the other side of the tunnel.
And if you think, like my mom and dad are here.
Yeah.
My mom's used it
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah. But
while
I would
she's
never
here.
tell your mom not to use it. I mean, I would never say that. Yes.
But see, this is part of it. Like, I think this is getting into some of these conversations are important because healthy relationship dynamics matter. And Paul is giving us guidelines on how to have healthy relationships. And he's saying, humble yourself. Be humble. Choose to be humble. Choose to do it. And why? Because you're going to connect when you do it. Here's what, Matt probably doesn't care that much that you don't like yins, but how much would he, how happy would he be if you used it? How happy would he be if you supported him in doing it? Because it's something that he likes to do. But how much connection would you gain in his life by being okay with it? Probably a ton, right? But it would mean you lowering yourself in some capacity.
See, I'm not liking this example.
Yeah.
I don't like being
I know, but I think it's a good example in that.
It is.
In just that, because I think these things exist in all of our relationships, and I think they exist all around us all the time. And some of us would say we're not prideful people, and I personally, I'm left without the Lord. I can be very arrogant and I can be very prideful. And because I've been in ministry, I think it's important to say that, because there's so many people that will say the opposite, and people have the opposite connotation of leaders that are in ministry, like, well, they're the most humble person. Imagine saying that. They're the most humble person.
Yeah.
Like, just the words.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's counterintuitive. It's like, my humbleness will destroy you. Like, what? No, we have to do a good job of being self-effacing and helping understand, okay, should there be some things that are true about my life where my life shouldn't have basic moral failure, and it should have certain qualities that are described through the Scripture? Absolutely. Yes, categorically, I think that should be the case. And I'm not trying to make excuses for people and say that their lives are allowed to be train wrecks. But we all have certain character flaws and character issues that exist. And our unwillingness to communicate that is prideful. And rather, I think we should be open about communicating it from a leadership perspective, not to degrade it, but to say, hey, these things happen in my life, and I'm going to model repentance, and I'm going to model obedience, and I'm also going to be open about it so that, one, I'm not putting myself on some sort of pedestal. Two, other people don't put me on a pedestal. And three, so I can humble myself and say, I put my pants on the same way you guys did, which is one leg at a time. And these things exist in so many relationships, but people are not as unified and connected and one as they could be. They are a lot more separate than they realize they are between God and each other. And those are just some of them. Some of the practicals.
Go ahead.
So,
no, go ahead.
I was going to go to the next one, but
Go ahead.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Walk gently.
Yeah, and
This is also a good one.
Yeah, it is. Do you remember you remember what?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do remember.
Go ahead, you
I
do
think.
it.
I mean, maybe not verbatim, but meekness.
Yes.
Just because you have the strength to do it doesn't
Right.
mean you should.
Right. Meekness can be considered as strength under control. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, just like humility, this is an intentional, purposeful choice because you have the strength. And we're called to be meek, not weak.
Difference. There's a difference.
Totally a difference.
Yeah.
And in a Christian perspective, there are so many weak Christians because they think that that's how they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're supposed to be meek. You're supposed to have answers because you know the truth. You're supposed to know where to walk because you know the way. Like, you're supposed to have uncommon life because you know life. So if you're constantly confused, if you have no idea what to do, and you have no life in you, I would say maybe you're following the wrong person. Right?
Yeah.
But you recognize that it's not because of you that you have these things. You have them because of somebody else. They've given it to you, and it's a free gift. You have not earned it from your good character. He's given it to you because he's a good God. And so we should be meek, recognizing that our strength is not from ourselves, it comes from God. And we don't want to use the strength that we get from him to control and manipulate and hurt other people, because that would be unrighteous. That's not right. We want to be strong, but in control of our decisions. There are times where you have to fight, for instance.
Right.
But fighting everything all the time is not right.
Yeah.
Right?
It just builds conflict.
Always.
Who wants that? Yeah.
No. A life lived in constant conflict, that's called chaos.
Yeah. That is called chaos.
You know? But conflict for the right reasons at the right time is important. That's probably called standing for righteousness. And I think we have a great confusion in the Christian world about the two. Like, no, listen, something's wrong, and you've got to be able to call wrong things wrong. And if you can't, then you're weak. That's not meekness. That's weakness. You're weak. And you're weak probably because you believed a lie, not because you're not willing to stand. I think people are willing to stand, but I believe that they've believed a lie and they're deceived. There are some people who are deceivers, and there are others who are deceived. And I think there's a lot of people in the deceived category, not as many in the deceiver category. There are some purposeful people who are preying on individuals, but I don't think that that's the majority. I think the majority of people are deceived. The Bible calls people sheep for a reason, and I think people are sheep and they are influenced by things around them. And then they're all false prophets, but sheep and false prophets are not the same thing.
No.
Right?
I think one of the big examples you put up on Sunday was, there's two paths. And there's the path that's lit up and the path that's dimmer.
Yeah.
And everyone's going down one path. Are you willing to take the other path?
Yeah.
And go that way?
Yes.
I thought that was a very good example.
Yeah, and that's how I'm giving people just how I'm interpreting my walk and how that looks for me. And the path that I see that is dimly lit, it's dimly lit because of the overgrowth. It's dimly lit because people aren't walking it. And I don't see change happening if we don't walk the hard, narrow path. And I don't know if you guys have done a lot of outdoor work, but if you've cleared like briars and paths that are overgrown, like you're gonna get cut.
Yeah.
Like you just are. You're gonna get thorns in your side, in your coat, in your jacket, and it's hard. And it's not easy to do, and especially if it's not been cleared for a while. But once you clear that path, number one, it stays clear for a while, and other two, people can follow you through it. And then I think from a leadership perspective, we don't want to have a Messiah complex, thinking that we always have to be going through pain. But man, think about the person who's the first to go to school in their family. Think about the person who's the first to not get divorced in their family. Think about the person who's the first to not be an addict in their family. The first person to not have massive debt in their family. All those people walked a narrow path that others weren't willing to walk. They pay a price for it, but the path gets wider for the people coming behind them. Their kids have an easier path because somebody was willing to pay the price. Someone was willing to walk. In my family, I told the church I have two different daughters. One daughter is ready to fight you. The other daughter is ready to cartwheel. That's what they do.
Right.
And so if I confront the one the way I would confront the other, I would hurt the younger one. If I confronted the younger one the way that I would confront the older one, she would crumble. She falls apart. She can't do it. I have to pick her up. I have to bring her in close. I have to talk to her. Maybe do a couple cartwheels. And she's going to do what she needs to do. The other one, don't matter. I could be holding her all day long, saying all kinds of nice things to her. She still has the knife behind her back waiting.
Oh my God.
She's ready. She's ready. And so I have to be strong with her because she's strong and she responds to that strength. And I watch her walk all over people because they're weak with her. I'm like, oh gosh, she's got you wrapped around her finger. And I'm sure that if people saw me with her, they would be like, I can't believe you talked to her that way. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, this is nothing, dude.
You don't know what she'll do to me if I
Yo, she's the child that at 2 and 3 years old was telling my wife, I want a different mom. How do I get a different mom? You are not a very good mom. Like, would say things like that to my wife and to purposely attack her.
Doesn't she recite Bible verses?
Now she's turned the corner.
Yeah.
All right, now because you're like, get behind me, Satan. Like,
Yeah.
Okay. And now as she's gotten older, now she's quoting scripture verses. Mm-hmm. Well, she's trying to tell us how unrighteous we are. And I'm like, okay, chick. That's what I call her all the time, chick. I'm like, we're fighting. But Sabrina would get mortified because of the stuff that she would say to her. And I'm like, honey, you've got to be stronger. She's 2. She doesn't know what she's saying. She's manipulating you. So I've got to treat her a certain way because that's what is needed. But I've got to recognize that my other one is not the same way. And if I treat her that way, I'm going to break her. And so she requires something different. And so I am strong and I understand what I have to do, but I've got to be in control and make an intentional decision. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And again, in people's relationships, and I think this is important for men specifically, Christian men as well, is because you've got this vein of thinking in the Christian world where men are the head of the household. and men are the spiritual head of the family. And I think that that is true, and I think that's scripturally supported. But there's definitions to that. And so men need to learn to be strong, but be in control, because the purpose of your leadership is to guide. The purpose of your leadership is to serve. The purpose of your leadership is to sacrifice, as we talked about in the marriage conversations that we were having. It's not to be in control of them. It's to be in control of yourself so that you can lead. It's to be in control of yourself so that you can guide. It's to be in control of yourselves because women are strong in certain areas and weak in others. And so we want to have meekness, but recognizing that we're not better than them, we're different than them for a reason. And I find that men struggle with that. What I say,
Yeah.
And then in the inverse, women then, rather than being strong in themselves, try to act like a man. You following me so far? And then women try to act like a man, and then they try to take control and take power that way, when it's like, no, that's not how you're called to lead. Lead in how you are. Be strong in how you are. Don't try to take the strength of a man and use that. Use the strength that you have. And women can handle, for instance, I think mentally and emotionally, women can handle multiple emotions and multiple situations at the same time.
That is true.
They seem to have this ability to do that. Whereas like a man can hunt one emotion, I'm mad.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I love you. But women seem to be able to have love and happiness and sorrow and grief all at the same time. This is not something that a man does well. Women are able to manage and communicate in different relationships all at the same time and keep track of it, right? And it makes sense to them. Versus like a man, what are you talking about? A man's like, well, who are you talking about? What are you talking about? And so in a conversation with a woman, you can talk about 10 different things and 10 different people. And you're like, catch up. And we're like, you said Stacy. How did we get to Jen?
Right.
Or whatever. So that's a strength of women. And I don't think women should try to be men. I think women should try to be women and recognize that they have strengths. And utilizing those strengths and using those strengths is important for men and for women. And in our relationships, we should learn to be meek and understand that everyone is not strong in the same area. Everyone is not us. Everyone needs something different, and everyone is different. And expecting Matt to be Holly or Holly to be Matt would be a bad expectation. You're not the same people.
Yeah,
For sure.
So, and again, it will build unity if you decide to do that. People will want you around. People will care about your opinion. Right? When you do that, rather than you having to control them or insert your opinion all the time.
Or manipulate every situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Walk patiently.
Yeah, patience.
Slow to anger.
Yeah.
This is a big one too.
Yeah.
I feel like they're all.
Why do you say it's? Why is the?
Because I think in today's world, everyone gets so angry so fast.
So fast. Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear what the other person has to say. It's
No.
just like you said, it's like, well, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And just because you think that way, I can't be friends with you.
No, absolutely.
And everyone's just so angry all the time.
Angry all the time. ready. I call it ready to be offended.
Yeah. Yes.
They are
yes.
ready to be. We have a culture that's ready to be offended. They're looking for offense.
Right. Yeah. They seek it out. Yeah.
Absolutely. They're ready to be offended. And they don't know why they're ready to be offended, but they are locked and loaded. Right? And just from a timing standpoint, I mean, if you've got an issue, just Google it. If you've got a question, just use AI. So there's a lot of practical reasons why we're not patient.
Right.
Amazon is one of them.
Big one.
And Amazon's not the only one that does it anymore. Walmart, 2-day shipping. So it's like logistically and technology is such in our world where we don't have to be patient. We're not patient for anything. And when things take time, people are like, what is wrong?
Yeah.
In our church, for instance, renovating an entire church building and moving everything around every single week and then somehow having it set up for Sunday. And when someone comes in on Sunday morning and mentions something to me, I'm like, all right. Do you know how much work went into just getting us to this point?
Yeah.
No, you have no idea. You have no idea because you're not part of the process and you want everything instantly, and we live in that world. Patience is an afterthought. It's an afterthought, and especially in our relationships. Think about your relationship with God. I mean, we were talking about, you've got a testimony about this.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring this up when you were done.
Yeah.
Last week before we started the podcast, I was talking to you about, leaning into being a disciple and not being patient with God. Like, I wanted everything on my time.
Yeah.
I'm someone on my VIP list I've been praying for, and nothing was happening.
Yeah. It really was going backwards to a certain extent.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then we left, and all of a sudden that night, at men's night, everything was different.
Yeah.
From the last time I spoke to him. Totally different person. And I came up to you after everything was over, and I said, I'm just going to come and complain to you about being a disciple, because it seems like it changes everything.
You and the rest of the world, bud.
Right.
Like,
But,
oh, man.
on Sunday, when you're giving this sermon about unity and everything, it made me think about being a disciple and how we have to be patient with God,
Yes.
patient with the people that we're, trying to get, to come to God. We have to be meek. We have to, have patience and all this. And one of the things, you brought people up to the altar, you wanted to tie us all together and everything like that.
I know.
I
With
know.
the
I was
rope.
going to mention that. Yeah, that was a good. We should have taken a picture of it so we could.
Yes.
They could have.
Oh, it's on. It's online.
Well, you
It's
don't
true,
see
isn't
you
it?
don't see like
The
the
youth
rope
took
though.
the youth. So I should not have things in my hands
Yes.
because my hands by themselves have their own mind.
This is true.
Okay, but then I had this rope. I think in second service I picked up the rope because in first service I just kind of went into the analogy. I shouldn't have done that, and I should have waited. And in first service I didn't. In second service I did. And so I had this. I didn't realize that I picked up this rope, and so I guess there was a point where I was like hitting the rope on my hand. So they videotaped this
For each word.
Yeah, for
Yes.
each word.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh gosh. So they do it right, and then they did like an Instagram reel to invite the youth, and it's got like a few thousand views. I'm like, oh my gosh, man. What? And then Pastor Joe is one of the pastors here. He's like, we got to give you something in your hand.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, no, we don't. Like, someone should have taken the rope from me, people. Like, I can't trust these hands. Oh my gosh. But yeah, and the reason we did that is that it was to signify when someone's being anointed for ministry or when two are becoming one. It's one of those unity things that we do is we tie their hands together and just really wrap their hands is probably a better way of saying it. And it's to illustrate the idea that a 3-corded rope is not easily broken, right? That we're bonding together and that there shouldn't be a separation here, but this is a bond. And it should not be broken, and it's not easily broken. And we were using it to illustrate people's commitment to Christ.
Right. And Sunday you had the altar call and everything, and
I didn't know how that was going to go. I'm like, what are we going to do?
I really hope people come up here and have this rope.
Why not? Like, oh man, okay.
and I was gonna go ask this person if they were sitting behind us if they wanted to go up, because I text with this person.
Yeah, sure.
They've really been focused on this person and everything. And you said ask the person next to you, and I'm like, oh, there's this little girl. Like, I shouldn't call her a little girl. She's 16. I don't know how old she is.
Sure.
I see her in church all the time. And you said ask the person next to you, and I was like, well, if I walk right by her and I don't ask her and she wants to go up, that's like not being a good disciple of God. So I asked her, and she was like, you'll go up with me if I want to? And I
that's
said,
good.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's
And
super
then
sweet.
She came up with me, and I'm like, man, you put a block in the way. Like, how do I go back and ask him? And I turned
Oh,
around.
sorry.
No.
Now you're
You got out of the way.
No, not
I'm
you.
just joking.
God put
Oh,
the
I
God
thought- I thought you meant
stop me from
psychology.
going back and asking this person. And we were up there with her, and I turned around, and that person was coming down with another friend. And then my dad came up and joined him as well, because he's been talking to him and everything. And my dad and this person both from the same area in Pittsburgh, so it was kind of nice. And I was like, all right, so I followed what God wanted, and he still got up here. I'm in good shape.
Yeah.
And, been talking to him throughout the week, and things have been going a lot better in his life. I can tell just from the text messages and things.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, I just got to be more patient.
Yes.
I've got to be more humble. I can't keep asking God to do things when I want them. Like you said, if the 13-year-old me would have gotten everything I wanted when I prayed, I would be married to somebody different.
Yeah. So like our lives would be a mess.
Yeah.
They would just be such a mess.
Right.
And I think that it's really important, obviously because God says it, and practically because it's true. Right? And that's the nice thing about the Bible, is that it's not just God dictating to us. It's also real. It's real. It works. It's practical. And if we practice patience, we're practicing faith. We're putting it where it belongs, and it's in his hands, because ultimately it's his son or it's his daughter. These are his. And we've got to trust God that he is good. And I think it's an important part of following him is recognize that we shouldn't hold all things. If we held all things, that would be bad. Mm-hmm. And he cares more than I think we're willing to admit or understand.
I think one of the things you said to me when we were talking before the podcast last week was, because I was complaining about where this person was in their walk and, why they weren't where I wanted them to be. And you told me that I need to meet them where they are.
Yes.
And I really, I thought about that, God's met me where I'm at.
Exactly.
Yeah. God didn't push me to the finish line.
Right.
You've always given that analogy of the odometer going over.
Yeah.
Once you get to the top, it's easier to get it back down than, getting it halfway up.
You really listen to what he says, don't you? You really pay attention.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not just coming on Sunday to get health insurance.
Wow, he's remembering all this. Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
I wish you'd pay attention to church now.
I feel like I need to really take notes and stuff.
But I think that, all that came to, kind of sunk in with me with, got to be patient. Meet people where they're at. Yeah. Don't push them. And, the men's night's been great for the guys connecting and talking, because last week we broke up into even smaller groups than our men's group. Mm-hmm. And I was the youngest one in the group. I felt like you, everyone was like, everyone our age, and I went, whoa.
Well, yeah, okay, buddy. I said, everyone your age. Yeah. Don't put me there.
I was a good 20 years younger than everybody in my group, so I pointed that out to them all. And, we were all talking, and everyone goes through something, and we all, as guys, think we go through it by ourselves.
Right.
One of the guys brought up something, and they're like, every day I go through this. And one of the guys, he goes, I don't know why I do this, it's me, I'm getting upset, and another guy goes, dude, I do the same thing every day.
Right.
I'm right there with you, and two of the other guys, and he was like, you guys you guys have this issue as well, and they were like, yeah. He's like, oh, I just thought it was me.
Right.
And, people then, because as guys, we all think we are the only ones to have this struggle.
Right.
No matter what it is, we're the only ones who have been there. And when you find other people who have been there with you or been there before you, they give you advice, it's like, oh, lights go off, And I think that's one of the things that happened in men's night was lights started to go off in some of the guys' heads that hey.
Well, people are so isolated.
Right.
In our culture, in our world, they're so isolated, and it's a product of our world. It's a product of our culture. And we have great things because of it. We have things in our world that other cultures don't, like in the United States. We're highly individualistic, and it's important, actually, I think. There are certain parts of it that are good, but there are certain parts of it that are not good. And anytime you have such a strength, it's going to produce weaknesses. It just is.
Right.
And we're very individualistic, and that's why we have so many of the things. It's why businesses start. It's why we have such high entrepreneurship. It's why we're so wealthy. It's why. But there is a dark side to it. We are also very isolated. We're also very fragmented. And then technology on top of that has almost hyper isolated us, in that we're not really drawn out into vulnerability, and we're not drawn out to connect because we don't have to. You can sit at your home and get everything.
Right.
Order your food at home, order your clothes at home, work from home.
Work from home, yeah.
Everything. And so it's like, well, where's people? And where's relationship in that process?
I think social media, destroys that as well, because,
Sense of community.
no one
really.
ever puts, I'm fighting with my wife about,
Yeah.
me using the word yins,
Yeah, exactly.
like everyone's posting the wonderful dinner they had, but
Right.
no one says that they made dinner the night before and had to throw it away because it tasted horrible.
Yeah, and
they
as
had to
soon
order
as you
pizza.
say anything with vulnerability, everybody it's like bleeding hearts of the world unite.
On
I
you,
remember
yeah.
I a couple months ago I posted something, and I rarely post, but I posted something on my Facebook because I was just thinking about something. I was just processing it. I'm like, all right, I'll process this out. And everyone's like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm just thinking. I'm not doing it. I'm just thinking, And
But you can't have a bad day on social media.
No, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
No, you're not really allowed to think about anything.
No.
It's funny, man. It's like, okay. And I actually said to some people, I'm like, guys, I am fine. Like, I'm okay. I'm just thinking about this.
Right.
Like, I have a close friend who just lost her child. And I'm thinking about that. And that hurts. And that's painful to go through.
Yeah.
And I think our world rejects that to a certain extent. And so we fight to try to keep people alive, and once they pass, then we don't want to deal with the pain of them passing. It's because we're so broken in our relationships. We're so fragmented, segmented out. And I think patience with people is massively important for unity purposes, because not everyone moves at the same speed.
Right.
Not everyone understands everything at the same place. Not everyone is the same person. And we're not God, and it's probably better for God's timing to happen than ours.
Right.
Because again, what would happen if everything happened right when
We
you
got
wanted it to
everything we
happen?
wanted.
Just ask that question. And then maybe that will back you up. Because it backs me up.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, probably not that good. And so patience, again, if we're patient and we learn to be patient and we're patient with people, we will have healthier relationships. We will be unified. And again, I think that people aren't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I believe that they're not. I believe that we've lost that unity that Paul is telling us to keep. I believe that we've lost it.
Yeah.
And we're trying to find something that was given to us at one point, but we're walking through that room dimly lit because we've lost it.
Do you have
Oh,
more
we
or
ready
something?
for that? No,
Oh,
I was just,
the way you were looking down, I thought you were going to give
Yeah,
us more.
we thought you were transitioning on your notes.
I was going to,
sorry, I am.
we were, I think that a big issue is, we don't want to share what's bothering us with our friends, because then they think that we're broken.
Right.
Don't judge us, yeah.
Yeah, you want to, when we started going back to church and everything, we were both like, what are people going to say about us?
Yeah, maybe not tell anyone.
Yeah.
We're just going for a long brunch.
Right. And, then, we start praying when you go to dinner and doing things different. And, eventually people will accept what you're doing, whether they agree with you or not. But then there's always the fact that, when you put out your brokenness of, these things, people don't want to hear it.
Sure.
And they shy away.
Sure.
And it, if you're a true friend, you're asking, how can I help you?
Well,
What
right.
do you need?
Yeah, a real trusted friend. And that's why I think it's important to tell people, like, you don't have as many friends as you think you have.
Right.
And you don't want that many friends, because you can't trust everyone, and you shouldn't trust everyone. The Bible says don't cast your pearls among swine. I mean, the Bible calls people all kinds of fun things. Swine is one of them. And so he's saying don't cast something that's precious out to people that won't treat it as precious, because a pig will probably just eat it.
Right.
Because a pig just eats everything.
Everything, yeah.
And so I think it's an important picture for us. Some people just are not trusted, and you shouldn't trust them, and you shouldn't trust everyone, and everyone's not your friend. And you don't want everyone to be your friend. It's not possible. It's not real. You need to have some trusted people in your life so you can actually share with them and connect to them.
Right.
But what I share with people, it's like, yeah, right. Someone says like, no, tell me what's really going on. No, I'm not telling you what's really going on. It's none of your business. It's my life. And I'll tell people that I trust and that are here to support me, but I'm not telling everybody.
Right.
And you shouldn't tell everybody.
I also think people are looking for reasons to bring you down. You know, I've not always been a Christian like I am now.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and people look at that and want to use that against you.
Absolutely.
And they would rather use that against you than to see where you're at now and help you on your path.
Yeah, and the reason for that, Matt, is, or I think I should say, one of the reasons I found for that is that they don't want to deal with their stuff.
Right.
It's much easier to deal with somebody else's stuff and have somebody else's stuff in front of everything than it is to deal with your own stuff.
Right.
And so if you've got flaws, well, let's talk about your flaws so that we don't have to talk about mine.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that is very much part of human nature, where it's why the kind of cancel culture gained so much traction and it had so much power, is because people were just like, oh yeah, no, like this is wrong. Meanwhile, they're doing the same thing.
Right.
So often, struggling with the same thing. But it's like, well, if they take them out, maybe they won't take me out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's it's counterintuitive in the culture where you've got this world that rejects truth and rejects reality and rejects morality, but then all these things are wrong. And I unfortunately, I just laugh when I see it. I'm like, you guys have no moral basis to be doing this to anybody about anything, because in your mind, there's no right or wrong. And it's just laughable, and that's why they all turn on each other all the time, is because there's no basis for it, for what they're doing. There's no rhyme or reason. It's woundedness with no ability for it to be healed. And that's what happens when you reject God. And so kind of bringing it back to unity, I think God is so vital for us to have unity because he's objective morally, and he gives us a really clear picture of right and wrong. So we can unify around that. And we can say, well, God is setting this path, and so we can then follow that path. It's not subjective, it's objective, and we can reduce ourselves, but we can do so because God is righteous and he is holy. And so he's not going to do an unrighteous thing. He's not going to do an unjust thing.
Mm-hmm. This is such an important message for our culture today. I mean, because like you said, our world is on fire.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just...
It is on fire, Holly.
I know. I wish people would understand this. Like, I want them to get this so bad.
Yeah. What do you mean when you say that? What do you want them to get?
I just wish people would just not fight all the time.
Yeah.
And would love more and try and be understanding.
But they don't know why they're fighting, Holly. They don't know what they're fighting for. It's woundedness without ability to be healed. Mm-hmm. It's brokenness with no answer. We have, unfortunately, that's why I say that people are deceived. And I tell that to our culture. I tell that to our church because I want our church to understand. I think it's important that you understand the circumstances, then you can do something about it. There's something to be done. We should not tolerate the evil that exists in our world, categorically. But you need to understand the circumstances so you can care for people properly, so you can lead properly. The circumstances in our culture is, for the last 25 to 30 years, people have been raised with the idea that they come from nothing, they belong to no one, and they have no purpose. Well, they're acting like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's like we could say, you're wrong, and I can't believe this. Well, yes, they are wrong, and it is unbelievable, but only to people who understand that they come somewhere, that they have a purpose, and they belong to someone. And so it's very easy for people who have that to look on people who don't and to say, you're wrong. Well, they've been wronged. Right. They've been led astray. They are sheep without a shepherd. They have been led into this place, into this world, and they've been led to the slaughter by Satan and his kingdom and those who serve him. There are deceivers. There are all false prophets. There are people who just want to seek to use people and will use them for their own devices, and that's true. And these people, these masses that we see in our world, are deceived people. And I believe that God cares for those people. Now, again, we have weakness, not meekness, and so weakness is we have to care for everybody and it's okay, and then they let all these wolves into the sheep's pen. Mm-hmm. No. Meekness, strength under control. You're deceived, you're sick, and there are problems. And I'm not going to let the inmates run the prison.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Now we're not going to do that. So no, this is right and this is wrong, and I'm not going to let a wrong person be in charge of the right people. No, I'm not going to do that. So I got to call it what it is, but I have to have compassion so that I then share the truth, but I share the truth with a purpose, and that is love. because I recognize that the strength that I have doesn't come from me, the truth that I have doesn't come from me, and the way that they need is not mine but God's. And if they have that, then ultimately they'll have what they need.
Yep.
Okay. So, but that's why we have a world that has rejected morality, rejected truth, and they're living from that place.
Rejected God.
Right, exactly.
Frankly.
Right, and they think that they're doing a good thing in doing that, but really what they're doing is causing themselves harm. You know, and there's a lot of questions, and we've raised them before about like, well, the United States is not a Christian nation, and look at all the wrongs, and look at all the problems and all these issues. And I'm saying, and yet, Christianity as a moral basis is the only thing that provides you an answer to all the things that you're talking about. So all the wrongs and all the issues that people have, they have no solution to those things. So the world is a problem without a solution right now. And what people don't understand, they lack the ability to understand, or they've been lied to, is that Christianity speaks to all of those issues and gives a specific pathway on how to walk it out. But because people are people, and because people are ultimately the problem, and because Christians don't behave like Christians, we have what we have today. You know, but I think our job is to recognize that the world is going to be this way to a certain extent. And we need to be those that want to take as many with us as we possibly can, recognizing that sin is a massive problem and it needs to be dealt with. And that's the other weakness that I think exists in our culture, is we're weak in our understanding of right and wrong and sin, and the fact that sinful things need to be done away with. And that God has eternity as a promise, but he's not taking sin into it. We're going into an eternity with him. We're going to have eternity with him, and we're going to have peace with him, but sin's not going to be part of that paradigm. And so sin's going to be done away with to the glory of God, and we're going to walk into righteousness with him forever. Sin's not taken with us there. And so because we have an eternal destination and we have that promise, we need to be willing to reach out and say, hey guys, you're actually an eternal creation, and you're going to go somewhere and you're going to experience something, and it's beyond what you're experiencing now. Why don't you come into eternal peace?
Just try it out.
Why don't you come into eternal happiness? Because right now you're going towards eternal destruction. Mm-hmm. And how do we know that? Look at what they're doing. They're lighting everything on fire, fighting with everyone. If you want a picture of hell, there it is.
There it is, yeah.
Right? There it is. I think that's kind of what it will be like.
Till the end, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think we should be compassionate people reaching into that, but not weak people justifying it. And that last trait is long suffering. Mm-hmm. You know, suffer long. It's like another thing. No.
Yeah. Here we go. Yeah.
No. Be willing to serve. Be willing to suffer long. It's like, no. I'm not patient, so I ain't going to be long suffering.
Right?
I'll suffer for like a minute, but my suffering's over. Isn't your suffering over? Like, just move on.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, don't be grieved. You know, don't be in pain, and you're not allowed to have that, and you're not allowed to have anything hard, and don't be sick, and oh well, she's sick. Did you know? You know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, bear with one another, serve one another.
Exactly.
Serve one another and so fulfill the law of Christ. Bear one another burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. These are the instructions that we get from God. Serve one another. Suffer long with one another. Again, keep the unity. I shouldn't have told my wife that that's not a word. Suffer, Kirk. Shut your mouth. Right? Help. But we don't want to suffer. And unfortunately, the Christian world, I think, is more responsible for the lack of suffering than they're willing to admit. Because in Christianity, we paint this picture that the world's going to come to Jesus. No more problems. No more suffering. No more issues. No. I think that's shallow. I don't think that that's true. No, come to Jesus, suffer not by yourself anymore.
Right.
Come to Jesus, recognize that your suffering is not in vain anymore. Mm-hmm. Come to Jesus and recognize that justice is just delayed, but it's coming, and its name is something, and that's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So yeah, you're going to have trials, you're going to have tribulations, but also it's strength in the midst of suffering. It's peace in the midst of the storm that Jesus has to offer. And I think we should tell people the truth. It's like, no, listen, you're going to have a bad day. I've never had a bad day since I met the Lord. You're such a liar. It's 36 degrees in Florida, dude.
It's a bad day.
Like, it's a bad day. Like, we are struggling out here.
We are.
We are struggling.
What do they say? The struggle is real. No, you're going to have difficulties, and anything worth doing is difficult, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and so this whole idea that we're going to make everything so easy and there's never going to be hardship, that's fake news. And you don't really want that life. You don't really want that life, because we recognize that great relationships require effort.
Right.
They require long suffering. Like, there's things that are better about Matt now, but come on, 20 years ago, there's some stuff that you had to suffer through. And the same thing's true about Holly, right? And the same thing's true with my wife and me and her and I. No, there's some things that I've had to suffer through with my wife. And there are things that she's had to suffer through with me.
And I think that's the only way that you grow, too. I mean,
Absolutely.
Grow in your faith, grow as a person.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's how you learn to deal with those things. It makes it a little bit easier.
And here's the cool thing. How do you know who your friends are? Because they're the ones that are willing to suffer with you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how you know. I know who my friends are. Because they're willing to go, they're willing to get dirty with me.
Yeah.
They're willing to get in the fire. They're willing to, whatever. They will suffer with me. They'll find a way to help, rather than finding reasons not to. And one of the things that I've tried to tell myself is, Kirk, find reasons to help, not reasons to not. Don't be a jerk. Suffer. And man, it's painful. I can tell you. I mean, it's so painful. My friends that just lost their, it's like, oh, I don't want to feel this.
Yeah.
I don't want to feel this pain, Lord. People that talk to me about what's going on in their life. I cried the other night with my wife because the last few years of pain caught up to me. And I thought, this is a lot. This is really painful. But yet what does my wife say? Sweetie, you can tell me whatever you're suffering with. She's my wife, and she's right, I can. And that's unity in our relationship. It brought us closer together. But there's deep suffering there. And that's, and then in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, she's my wife. She's a great wife. But she's willing to suffer with me, not push me away because I'm suffering. And I think that my best relationships are those that have been in the midst of the suffering and the pain with me, right?
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
And we all have them. And they're not always the ones that are with us all the time.
Right.
That is very true, yeah.
But when we call, they will answer. And if we are suffering, they will suffer with us. That's real love. That's real love. That's love, I think. And God thinks that's love. God has suffered with us. Think about it. In Jesus, right? Jesus doesn't have to suffer. He doesn't have to. He's God. He doesn't have to come down. He doesn't have to associate himself with us. There's no requirement for God to do this. We're his creation, and he wants to cast us aside, that he'd be justified in doing that. And yet he's loving and he's good and he's righteous because he decides to suffer with us. These are the leaders that we want in our life, right? The leader that just goes, you solve the problem. I'm not going to be part of it.
Yeah.
You don't want to work for that person.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't want to be around them because you're like, hey, it's your fault we're even doing this. So God doesn't push us away, and God doesn't say deal with it on your own. He associates himself with our suffering. And this is the answer to that question that people have about, well, why does God allow evil? And I'm like, well, okay, guys, he has not disassociated himself from suffering. He has come close in the midst of our suffering. He comes to us, and he provides his son as an atonement for our suffering. And he tells us that this suffering and this pain that you're walking through will not be forever. And the vast majority of it is for your good. The vast majority of it, not all of it. And some of it's really hard, and we don't have answers for that yet. But I believe that we will know. I believe that we'll see that, we'll understand it. But those that are willing to suffer with us are the ones that are really close to us. And if we really want to be close to people, then we're going to have to be willing to suffer alongside of them. And we don't have those amazing relationships that we can count on because we are unwilling to suffer. We just are. And it's simple. Like, someone calls you they're moving. Go help them. Just go help them. Move boxes, whatever. Pick up, if you can't pick up a lot, pick up something.
Right.
Right? It's like giving. Give something. Don't give, like stop trying to think you have to give everything, but just do something. Suffer a little bit to help, right? But that whole selfish paradigm in our culture doesn't allow that. You're not allowed. Don't suffer. Okay, well, never have healthy relationships, and that's the lie. That's the lie. And I think that the enemy uses in our life. You know, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't wake up thinking I can't wait to suffer today.
No, that does not cross my mind as soon as I wake up.
No, and you want to reject that suffering as soon as you can.
Sometimes I admit I do a body check. Like, does anything hurt? How am I gonna have to
A
get
body
out of bed
check.
today?
I love that.
Like,
I'm gonna start doing a body check. Sabrina, let's do a body check.
which way do I have to get out of bed?
Yeah.
Something not to hurt.
But again, I think that beginning of instruction there in Ephesians 4 is vital, and it goes on. We're going to unpack more of it, but maintain the unity, endeavor to keep the unity that we can have, the unity that we should have, and these are vital. I think you can do a lot of other things, but you have to do these things. That's how I think about it. It's like these are non-negotiables. I have to do these things. Mm-hmm. I won't have a unified relationship if I'm not humble. I won't have a unified relationship if I'm not meek. I won't have a unified relationship if I'm not patient. And I won't have a unified relationship if I won't suffer. Like these have to be there. Versus I think there's other things that are circumstantial. These aren't. Anytime you're prideful, you're breaking unity, right? Mm-hmm. Right. Anytime you choose to not be meek, the chance that you're going to break that person. When you're not patient and you're rushed, you're going to hurt people. And if you're not willing to suffer, then you're in the relationship for the wrong reasons. You're in the relationship for your own benefit. You're selfish and you're a liar. And so we are challenged by that to see the places in our life where these things are not there. And then rather than think that they push us away from God, rather God says, no, it's okay. I still love you knowing that you're not patient. I know that you're not humble. I'm very aware that you're not willing to suffer, and you would never go to the cross, so don't even say it.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. But, and for me, while I'm preaching these things, I'm thinking, man, I'm going to hell. Like, I'm preaching these things, and that's just my funny way of just saying, like, I can see in my life where these things are not true.
Where I'm not doing these, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, so I'm not going to hell, but I'm not unified.
Yeah.
I'm not unified with these people. I'm not unified with my Lord in this way, and I need to be, right? So let me endeavor to do it. Mm-hmm. Let me work to do it. Anything else in those notes?
Nope, I think we covered it all.
So what did you talk about? All right, well, good. Well, do we get, what grade are you giving us for? Holly's been giving us grades in the podcast, so I'm just joking. What grade do you give this podcast? Is it a B, C, D? What do you think?
I think it was a B plus.
B plus?
Yeah.
Okay, so
sure.
if you're gonna give us a B plus, you got to give us some pointers.
Well, I'm just being critical of myself. So not you guys. You guys are great.
He said yins. That's why we got a B plus.
Yeah,
you brought
I will repent.
You brought it up. You brought it up, and she said, under no circumstances do you associate me with those yins. I heard you got head coach.
Yes.
All right, congratulations.
He's a yinzer.
He's a yinzer.
He's a yinzer.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get an NFL football team, get one. I think it's gonna be the Bucs. I'm nervous because I think it's a bad relationship, but that's okay. You can't have all healthy relationships in your life.
This is true. Right. Yeah.
So
Me with the Knicks.
yeah,
It's not a healthy relationship at all.
That's not a healthy relationship. No, that's a bad relationship. That's a
Very bad relationship.
No, that's a side chick that's gonna fail you.
Yes.
For sure.
And he's
has
had her
been.
for a long time.
It's Becky with the bad hair.
Oh my goodness. Well, I hope I really hope that we hope that this conversation on unity was helpful. If you have questions, you want to reach out, you can do so. We need some official comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need some.
We need some
official
official, because I feel we have side comments.
Yes.
I guess you have to have side comments before you have official comments.
Right.
Baby steps, yeah.
So we need some real comments, and feel free to share the page so people can get connected to it, because we're on different social media platforms. Matt's going to be cutting some stuff up.
Yes.
So you guys can be sharing that content, and we'd love to pray for anybody too. If there are prayer requests or things that are going on in your life, feel free to reach out, let us know, and we'll make sure to pray over those things. And we can't wait to see you guys for our next podcast.